Hey guys, I think I'm live. In fact, the camera needs a clean, so bear with me. How is it so grubby? There you go, I might be less smeary now. Okay, so for those that are here already, first of all, apologies because the lighting has changed a tiny touch, so there's quite a lot of shadow underneath this hand. So apologies about that. Hi Amy, how are you? Oh, they need to make the chat bigger, or I need to go get my glasses sorted out. Yeah, so we're cracking on with the hair that I wasn't actually very happy with on the last feed, but actually the more I look at it now, the more I'm happy with it. And I think that light might be too, oh, it's a worse shadow, but that's more realistic. I had an attempt today at your rainbow. Oh, how did you get on? Hi Carol. Did you have the spectrum ones, or did you try it with something else? This is the only bit that's annoying me. This bit in here. And I'm not sure how I'm going to overcome that. So I think for now, it's probably not something I'm going to do over the live feed yet. I'm probably going to figure it out. I don't think I had enough layers down. I think I was just in a bit of a hurry to get it done, really, which didn't do myself any favours. If you think it's a bit too dark for you to see, can you just let me know and I'll bring the light. That might help further forward. It really distorts the colour. So yeah, I think I'm probably going to add more layers in here. I think that's probably what's going to do it, I think. Okay, I'll pop some pics in the group. I have the Spectrum Noirs, but they don't blend. Do they do any? Right. I have the Spectrum Noirs, but they don't blend. What do you mean they don't blend? If they're watercolour, they should. Spectrum Noir actually primarily are alcohol markers. The watercolour markers came along much, much later. So yes, they do alcohol markers, which are, they do Illustrator ones, they do the original, what you'd class as the black barreled one. If you have a look on the Crafters Companion website and then go under Spectrum Noir, you'll see in there all the range that's available. But yeah, you've got the original black barrels, you've got the illustrators, and you have the graphic markers. Yes please, thank you. Looks fine, not too dark. Cool. Okay, so yeah, we're just going to really carry on from where we left off and just keep our fingers crossed. And I think because I'm coming at it with fresh eyes now, there's probably going to be bits that I am going to go over, but there's also bits that I'm actually happier with than I thought I was, so that's quite good. But there's certainly sort of areas like these bits here that just need a bit of darkening and attention, really. just, while we're waiting for the few people to come on, I'm just going to do my share out. I've just seen your question come up, Amy. I'm just going to do this and then I'll come back and answer. Oh, I can't type with nails. It's really frustrating. So I added water and I couldn't get them to shift. They are not watercolour. They are standard alcohol markers. That's why. The watercolour markers are white barreled. So if you're using the black markers, they are the original alcohol markers. Right, almost. Why is it as soon as I come onto the live feed, my eye decides to just be really, really annoying. Hi Joe, how are you? Okay, one more and then we're done. I just need to share to my page. My page. Okay. Hi Erica. Okay. So yes, I have seen, I think there's certain areas of her hair that I actually think need to be yellower, and I think I'm going to have to come and tackle this again a bit later on, because I do. Oh, why don't my head looks really, really red? I don't think I've burnt it, but it looks like I have. I think essentially what it's saying is that the skin tone underneath isn't dark enough still. Plus, I think because I didn't have enough layers to get it as fine as I wanted. So, again, I'm going to address this later on because we spent long enough on it last week. I just need to get it toned down a bit darker. Let me move the microphone as it's miles away. That might be a bit better for you guys. So I probably need a darker flesh, but hi Sherry. See, I didn't know much about Spectrum when I first started using them, and my mum kept seeing them in Hobbycraft, and then I think they were on offer. They were like buy one get one half price or something, and she ended up buying 3 or 4 of the sets. I think that's when they come in like the packs of 6, and she never really used them, so ended up giving them to me, and being the pen addict that I am, decided that I have to have the whole set. So yeah, ended up getting the whole set. So it took some time, and I always did it when they were on offer. But yeah, I got there eventually. But yeah, I have all my black barreled ones all nicely tucked in, and we get them out on the kitchen table, me and the girls, and we just get our colouring books or pads or whatever out, and we just have a good old sesh. Good, you've done a smashing job on the Patreon tutorial. Absolutely gorgeous. It really, really is. So massive pat on the back for you, young lady. Why have you got to go, Erica? How dare you? You're not allowed to go. I'm trying to think where my dark fleshes have gone. Here they are. I've obviously got them in a mini pot to keep them separate. I don't know why, and I don't know why I've got 2 lights either. Yeah, they are. They're really, really versatile. I've done some bits that I'm really, really proud of actually with them. And I love it's the colour range I love, and how easy they blend together. I just think they work really, really well. And I love the fact that everything in the Spectrum range as well complements each other. So, you know, it doesn't matter what you get in their range, there's going to be a colour that will mix with whatever it is you have. Because I've done marker and watercolour marker together. And they work really, really well. Okay, so I'm going to see if the indenting method is actually going to work best this time round. I'm going to give it a go because my head just hurts today. It's been a really, really long day actually. And I think the indenting method may actually be the way forward if I can find my indenting tool. Yeah, they are because yeah, they're just so easy to use. Right, okay. And if you're new to watercolours as well, the aqua markers are just a really good introduction to people that aren't familiar with watercolours, because you can get used to the way that they behave. And if you're like me and you like to work wet on dry, then you can influence a bit more where they go. I don't know, I think you have more control over them. Yes, I'm hoping, she says, to start on that next week, so it's ready for July. It is a bulldog we're doing, and he's got a lot of tones that you will see in a lot of white dogs, so I think it would actually be a very practical tutorial. So I'm looking forward to doing that one. Right, I need to mark in. So we've got, I think that's pretty much one big shadow there. We've got a chunk that comes down there, one there. We've got one that comes over. I'm just marking them in with the yellow because then it's at least with the tone that we're going to be using. And then we've got these flicky bits here, and then that way I can work out exactly where I need to go with my ball tool. So I'm going to use the thinner end, I think. I don't need to use the thicker end. So if you haven't seen my indenting method before, there is actually an entire video under the how-tos, and it introduces the ball tool and how to use it, and it also introduces a couple of other tools that you can use if you don't have these available. But you can buy these if you're in the UK. I imagine they'll be in the dollar store in the US, but in the UK you can pick up a set of 4, so you get 8 sizes all together, and you don't go anywhere else other than the pound shop, because if you're paying more than £1 for them, you're paying too much. And each end has a slightly different size, so generally when I'm doing A4 I will go for the smallest that is available. Don't indent over a flat surface because you don't give yourself enough of a valley when you do. If you have something hard underneath, you can't, there's no way of pushing into the surface, so it doesn't indent the paper very, very well. But if you have something soft, this is just an old bit of kitchen lino, you can fold up a piece of card a few times. Then when you push in, you've got this, you can probably see the flexibility in the mat, which means that you're then going to get a much deeper valley for you to then be able to colour over. So I'm just going to put some in. I may even erase that and add some in later. So we're just going to go ahead and just get some in. They are a bit all over the place, so I'm not going to be methodical. And they don't have to stay stark white either. If you want to make them grey or have a different colour, just sharpen your pencil sharp enough that it sits inside that valley, and then you can just colour inside the valley and it doesn't have to stay white. So all it's going to do is allow me to come over with the shadow and just have a bit more play, and not have to worry so much about just getting them all in afterwards. So when I come over with my darker colour, I might need a couple more in there. Let me see. I don't know how out of focus. I need to move my cable. Oh, so many cables trailing around. It's really annoying. No. I'm going to have to use the zoom function. Hang on. The quality is not going to be quite as good, but I want you to see. A lot of you have seen this anyway on my YouTube, but I would like you to see. Wrong one. Oh, for goodness sake. 2 seconds, guys. Because I have tried to be all efficient. You've probably lost my camera now. No, you're all right. Which means I should be able to zoom in much better. So let me just focus you. Okay. There we are. Very quiet tonight. So when I come over, you can see the shadows from the indentation. Actually, it's a good thing about having that light. I then don't have to worry so much about adding all that in. So when I come over later on with the knife, it's going to look much more natural because we're going to have some really fine ones along with these thicker ones. And it's just a case of building up the hair now. And once you get it built up where you want it, I'll show you very quickly. So if I get my Tombow, I can then come in and just, like where these bits are coming out from this bit of hair, we can join those up. And then eventually we can join these up to this bit of hair. And it's just refining it all when it's all together. I can't really do it with the knife at the moment because I haven't got enough layers down. The only thing that annoys me about a plastic eraser. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. So I'm going to zoom out again as we seem to have gone really dark. Let's sort out the zoom. Focus even. There you go. And then we just, I don't know what's happened to the exposure. Get that zoom out. Make sure that focus is right, which I think is there. That's not too dark, I don't think. Let's just get a little bit lighter. There we go. So yeah, we can just keep working on that hair now. Just working on the colour. If you watched the first part with me, you're aware of actually how much grey goes into blonde hair. A lot of people tend to think that because, you know, you associate blonde with yellow, so people end up putting quite a lot of yellow in there, which you don't need to do. Just need to get a few darker shadows as we're coming down. Dark under here. It's going to get a very loose layer of green down in here. There's a star or something there. I don't actually think that's light enough, you know. I'm just going to blend it out with the buff titanium. That just helps blend the hair as well as just bring the saturation down a bit. Like so. Just going to add a tiny touch of purple tone to this area of skin under here. She's actually very, very purple around this area. I really should sharpen it. Hi Dee. Yeah, if you've got pastels, then I don't see why not. Are they Panpastels or a different type of pastels? Because you'll find that if they're not Panpastels, you may not find that they work very well on the smooth paper. I'm getting into skin tone and I shouldn't, but then I should because I need to do both. So it's really frustrating because you just need to do it all. She's got a shadow that comes up here where we've got like a creasing. And then we've got one here as well. So I'm just going to get that in with this lighter purple and then I can darken it when I come down to it. See, it's little bits like this that I think I pretty much excluded off of the original one that I did 2 years ago. I'll darken it up, it just looks like a hair shadow at the moment. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to bring some of that up. So this hair here looks like it's much more broken, not broken, but split down the bottom. You might not see it hugely well down the camera. Now I'm wondering whether we will work down here as we have a few more layers. It is a little bit. So we haven't got enough under there yet. So let's keep working on the hair. We just need to get a bit of darker grey in here. And it's warm greys I'm using on the blonde hair. Probably even go darker than that. I'm trying to think where all my warm greys went. Dark sepia would be fine because that's within the warm remit. Yeah, if you get pans, I would go for the portrait set, because that's what I started off with, and I think they really do have a good amount range colour wise in the portrait set, and it gives you the colours ideally that you want to get started off with. So that would be a really good set to start off, depending on your budget. Otherwise it's a case of buying them individually, really. I don't think that has enough down, but I'm going to try. It's probably not going to pick up on camera because they're so fine. She's just got the odd shine of her hair going in the other direction. That's what I'm just catching now. Oh, wrong way. So what there needs to be is, it's quite stoppy starty up here, so I need to just tone in a bit more of a darker grey in some areas. So as I mentioned, I'm using the warm grey for any shadow areas. Hair always looks so messy as you build it up. It just takes so long to build up. It just feels like it takes forever. Yes, you can. Yeah, she does individual pans as well. So if you didn't want to buy the whole set, you don't have to. So, which is always a good thing. Right, just need to give the hair a little bit more shape. So rather than it looking really flat, we just need to round it off with that tiny bit of shading in there. So we still need to go darker. And she is actually quite pink under there. We'll get that toning down. It'd be easier to work on those hairs then. So where we've got like the edges of the hair, we can just draw up into those with our shadow, and it gives you, well, you can see it now starting to develop that flicky separation. Oh right, yeah, see, it really can depend on the colours that you get actually, because you don't always think what you can do with them when they're, you know, not a portrait or animal set of colours, things like that. But they do make for really, really good bases when you do portraits. I remember when I had to do two, And I couldn't share them by request of the person that ordered them. But 2 A2 portraits. And that is exactly the reason why I ordered the Panpastels, because A2, I can't really explain it, but there was a lot of flesh I had to draw. They were at beach. So yeah, there was an awful lot of flesh I had to draw. So I got the Panpastels to give me the base that I needed. Otherwise, it would have taken me twice as long. Blue, green, yellow, and grey. I remember. See, you can once you get used to using them, you can blend colours together. They are quite blendable, so it's worth having a go if you need to get a colour. The background I did for my koalas was blending 2 colours together. Okay, you can see all the individual hairs much clearer now. So then we want to come in, and I think we're going to blend with the buff titanium. And all we need to do is get this transition down here a bit cleaner. I think we might have to come in with a bit of warm grey in this shadow area. Well, actually, it doesn't look too bad. It looks really red through the camera. I don't know why. Let's go in with... what do we got? Warm grey 4. Welcome back. Need a pencil extender for this one. Oh, let's not flick my pencil across the table, Bonnita. It's not a good idea. God, these pencils these are so tight, these particular ones. Might not even be dark enough, actually. So all I'm doing with the grey is just taking out a little bit of the yellowy redness, yellowy whatever. But once you get the rest of the face and the shoulders and the chest, it all looks much more natural. At the moment it looks really out of context and it can look very, very strange, but until you get the rest of the shadows in, it tends to look like that. So this is one of those ugly stages, and you'll get them quite often through drawing. But yeah, this is what we call the ugly stages. And it's hard because you don't want that massive, your eyes don't want that massive change from light to dark, but actually in realism you do get that. Go for it. Yeah, it is really, really helpful doing that tutorial because it just teaches you the absolute basics of getting down the skin tone. I didn't use Panpastels in that, but you can. The colours of the pencils aren't going to change, so it is worth going over. Have you not done that one yet? I didn't realise just how many Patreon tutorials are up now. Right, we've got lots of greys in here because of that shadow underneath, and I'm just saving time really and just going in the motion and direction of the hair because it just all helps later on really. Okay, we've got quite a dark shadow in here. I'm just going to block that in. So if I work on this bit of the hair now, so there is quite a bit, so you can probably see in the reference post thingy, if you look up above my head, you'll see it's quite dark where it comes out and around, but of course in the reference picture she has something behind her that you can actually see it. Now I don't know whether I'm tempted to put a background in or not. I did a special Bocky one on this portrait, but I'm quite tempted to maybe put the blue background in that's there. But so there's an awful lot of grey, so I'm not even going to swap over the pencil. I'm just going to keep going with the grey that I have, and I'm not going to do solid colour at this point. I am just going to lead with the pencil, as I say, in the direction of the hair, but I'm only going to put where I can see the grey. I'm not going to go anywhere else. We've got a big chunk of grey in here, we've got a big one. This gets all darker as we come down here because there's not a lot of light hitting it. So here I can actually get away with adding a bit of bulk. Got a dark one back here. Couple just at the base of the hair, not through the whole hair. Okay, then we can look at bringing, I believe that's actually, I reckon that's warm grey too, but I'm quite tempted to use my Pablo light beige. There are a few I haven't done. I just thought I might get a smoother look with pastels. You can, well, you can. The answer is simple. You do still end up burnishing a little bit, but you don't burnish it as much because you've got a good base layer down. Just make sure the sponge you use is really good quality, because on smooth paper, obviously Panpastels aren't meant for smooth, but they do work very well on it. So give it a go. What have you got to lose? What is the tutorial called? What date was released? Oh, was it just called? I think it might have just been called Girl Tutorial, because I have such a good imagination that yeah, my titles are really, really, really cool. If you go to the Patreon group, Carol, and have a look through the files, there's a list, and I do believe she's listed on there. Might just make it easier for you to find her without having to trawl all the way through. Do you know what? I'm going to do the other wispy hairs while I'm here. That one connects down with this highlight that we see. And I'm going to get a nice sharp point on here now. Look at that. Isn't that yum? Yum, yum, yum. Probably was a bit. Could you know that the Kingfisher tutorial was over 2 years ago now? Can you believe that? Okay, so we're just going to do some flyaways, which you're probably not going to see through the camera. Oh, this pencil's perfect for blonde hair. I think it's probably the equivalent of warm grey 3. that shadow nice and dark in there. I think these just need to be a little bit more solid where it goes underneath this bit of fringe that seems to have escaped over the top. So we can start filling in some of the darker shadow areas. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over with probably the titanium buff titanium. Potato. Okay, so I'm going to go with the buff first, I think, just to see how we get on. I'm going to turn the page. Yeah, buff titanium's fine for this. Under here, get that all filled in. Then we're actually almost orange on this bit. So we need to, I think we're going to come in with the burnt umber, I think it is. Burnt sienna even. Because we've got a slight tint to the hair just under here. I'll blend that out in a moment up there. But we need quite a bit of this down in this section. Just getting all this in now. Block that in. So the bit under here, it goes from the edge of the eye. It sort of just touches her shoulder, but all this is, I'm probably going to need to add some ochre on the top. It's all very dark. Probably see, oh, you can't really see the highlight under there showing. And everything else would be done with this pale beige or light beige. And anything else you can't see really, because I'm effectively trying to draw white on white, and you can't in that sense. So we're just drawing her straggles. Now I can start to get more solid areas in here. What I want is just a few darker patches up here. Sorry, I've gone really quiet. I'm just trying to get my concentration head on. Oh yeah, that's worked out quite well. We just need to soften this. This bit's gone quite strong for some reason. I think it's probably not that it's so strong. It's the area next to it needs darkening. So we just need to bring the shadow up in here a bit more. Like so. And we've got a few darker bits that you can just about see where the sun is shining through the curtain behind her. I want a dark grey, but I don't want one. Where did I put it? I'm having a moment here, guys, which is not unusual. Okay, let's get the old titanium buff going again. That's better. Okay, so we can't really do this portion of the hair until we get some colour down. No, I used that red for the car. There it is. So let's get some of that red in. And we can work on the last bit of the hair. My sharpener did something really weird to my... Can you see that? I've literally got half a lead. So I don't quite know what it's done. But it's had a field day eating it. Okay, it will end up much darker than that because we actually have quite a big shadow in here, but it's enough to get us started. That's a big white one up here, so I need to leave, well, I say white, it will be grey by the time I finish. There's one under there as well. Just using this one to tone it in because it needs to match this side, but you can barely see it this side compared to this one, and it's darker, so last one. This just gives me that more yellow tone. That I want. So I'll use Paynes Grey to add any shadow in here, which I need to there. I look so dark through that camera. I don't know why all of a sudden it just looks really dark. Very annoying. It's really quiet tonight, isn't it? Normally, my average watch time is 20 minutes. It's 9 at the moment, but then blonde hair probably isn't the most exciting. I would love it if you are watching, if you could give me a thumbs up on the video, because it really, really does help the algorithms on YouTube. So thumbs up makes a massive difference, actually. So if you could, I would really appreciate it. So we're going to get that shadow in under there. And we can look at darkening the... I'm going to use... No. I knew I had. Dark indigo. I've just gone and marked my paper. Just because where it's not completely like really dark on the shadow, it will lend itself with the green, so it will make it look like a darker green rather than a black. So we're going to get my green, we're going to blend over the top, just help soften that particular shadow out a bit more. There we go. Looks much more like a natural fold now. Hello. So what we need to do is we need to darken that red so it doesn't look quite so happy and jolly as it's all under shadow. So we'll just darken this one up, darken this one right up. And now we can see, because we've done that, that we need to, in this particular area, there's quite a dark shadow in there that needs strengthening. Okay, so I'm going to see how the knife behaves on this. Still got this bit of hair to do, but I just want to see how we... There we go. It likes that. Let's get some straggly bits over here. Let's bring that up a bit, as that's where I accidentally hit the paper with my pencil and I didn't mean to. And it all magically disappears. Okay, so let's sort that bit of hair out and then it won't look quite so odd. Okay, so we need to get our mid-green and we need to just draw up into the hair. And then we need to bring that grey down, in fact darker than that I think. There we go. Okay. I can't win with this camera tonight. 1 minute it looks really dark, next minute it looks really light. So I can't win with it. I'm not going to fight with it tonight. February 2018. There you go. That was a while ago. Time flies. How are you, John? Right, I'm using dark sepia in these shadows under here. Because we want to get the idea that the hair's flicked out. So you need to draw in the direction of that hair, because if you don't, if you draw it in the wrong direction, it's gonna, well, not be like the reference photo. Probably gonna have to bring my capper in for this. Still not quite dark enough under here. Hopefully you can see now we're starting to do the build up of the shadows underneath, that hair is looking much more natural now. So what we want to do is try and get some of the shadows on these particular bits showing through, so it doesn't look like such a solid clump of hair. It looks much more individual. A little up and a little down. I'd be a bit it's good you've got us here. Keep you company for a while this evening. Okay, so it's telling me that it's not quite dark enough under here because you can't see this bit of hair. I haven't greyed that out either. Oh, you've got to love the slice tool. You need to try and keep me awake. I don't know about the other way around. I've just put a new airbrush. I have put a new airbrush murder of mine on Artshare. I guarantee it's not naughty. Suddenly it's an issue. What paper do you use? I am absolutely clueless when it comes to all that stuff with airbrush. Okay, so that's the majority. I've just got to finish this bit. So now, 2 years ago. Right? Yeah. So that's 2 years ago. So there's a big, big difference between that hair. And the headband as well, actually. See how flat that looks compared to this one? I'm looking over there, sorry, because I'm looking at my monitor. But yeah, that's quite a difference. Harder and Steinbach. Scholar hammer for airbrush mainly, or Lupo airbrush. Ah, but I haven't had a play with Lupo yet. It's supposed to be very good for oils, alcohol inks and stuff, isn't it? Okay. Very strong purple shadow here, and I am going to put it in. As much as it's probably going to grate on me. You need to be stronger under here as well. There we go. Okay. Sorry, concentrating again. Not being very chatty, am I? Apologies. Apparently it's supposed to be good for watercolour. Thank you, coffee man.
There you go.
Okay, so let's just work on this hair. So we can call it done. I've heard of the Bockingford for watercolour. There we go, that's better. I don't know why I'm really paranoid about going too red, and really I should be. See, even us seasonal ones have to have a bit of doubt. Just going to blend using the flesh tone. That way I don't lose too much of the red if I end up using the rough titanium, which I would. It's almost like painting on thin plastic as it's a synthetic paper. Oh right, okay. How would watercolour react to that? We're talking Bockingford, aren't we? The Lupo I have seen, and I'll say I've not had a go, but right, I'm going to stick to that being as dark as I'm going to go for the moment until I get the rest of that face done. Then I will reconsider. Okay. I might have to rename the video title, as the hair didn't actually take that long to do. I'm just going to get more base tone down on her cheek, but I don't want to get too many light layers down because actually she's really dark, and we need to make sure that we get her birthmark in there as well. I want to be as true to her as I can. So we're using the Caput Mortem, and I am doing it very, very lightly at the moment because I'm probably likely to come over with probably the dark flesh. But the Caput Mortem is going to give me the base tone that I need. Okay, so we've got a shadow coming from this part that goes round. She's got a highlight there and she's sort of rounds off around here. So everything from here up I can come up with the Caput. It's just been really, really quiet. Just going to lighten the pressure off when I come in here because I don't want it quite as dark. In there I do. And then here I need to apply a bit more pressure. Doing it this way is a good way of blocking it in, just doing it by pressure. And you haven't got to keep changing over your pencils. If you know that this is going to be the undertone for all those areas, doesn't make a difference then. So we need to apply some purple here. We need to apply more up here. And we've got a bit in here as well. You can't see much, but she has got a little bit of a line for eyelashes. I bet that's come out really dark on my monitor. Go. It's really still the you can start to see all the shadows forming now, and where we start to get these shadows in, these then don't look so odd. I'm still here puzzling over where to find the line drawing. They're normally attached to part 1 of the tutorial. I definitely know I did a line drawing for that one because I think there was something slightly missed off. Where is my... It's medium flesh actually, not dark. Yeah, it's medium. I need to find my dark. I don't know where my dark is. I have no dark flesh. What? That's not funny. I must have dark flesh. Oh, it's right over there. 2 seconds, guys. Wheeling my trolley of pencils around. Oh, do you know what? The Indian red might actually do the trick. I am going to try it. If I was to explain it, it's got like more of a brickier colour. Oh, might have been the post before. It's normally always with the reference photo. Yeah, that's a good choice. Okay, so I'm going to get these flesh tone down. Now that needs stopping about here. And I've got my pencil tilted just to help me get a smoother lay down. Of colour. Okay, so that gets the flesh tone down. We need a bit of purple this side, not much. She's almost got like a bag under her eye. That's what's casting that particular shadow. What are the best pan pastels? Do you mean colours? If we're talking colour palette wise, it depends on what you want to do. But in my opinion, the best colour set to start with is the portrait set. Because I think it gives you a good portion of the colours that can be used not only on people but on animals and various subjects as well. So yeah, the portrait set I personally think is the best one to go for. The actual company name is Panpastels. There is only one type of pan pastel in the world and they are the only one that make them. I think they have the pattern over the recipe. They use a particular binder which I think is not used by anyone else. I think that's what's patented, but nobody else makes them. Okay, I'm pretty sure, I've just realised, I think that eyebrow needs to come across a bit further, and it's not quite as thick in some areas as it needs to be. Which means that this area here isn't as dark as it needs to be either. That's better. Oh, that's all right. It's just Pan, pastels. It's one word. One word. If you go to Paper Story, give me 1 second. I think is it .co.uk now? Try that one, or try. I'm sure it's .co.uk. I think it's one of them. They are one, you know that they are the proper real deal, because there are a lot out there that are not real and they don't charge a lot of money for them because they're not real. But Angela at Paper Story is they're an independent retailer. And I know that they work directly with the companies, so she's a really good one to buy them from. Right, I'm blending with my burnt sienna 10% because it's got that slight purple tone that I need it to have, but we're going to end up going darker. Because looking at this, it's not dark enough. And the way for me to do that is I'm probably going to keep her like this. This needs rounding off. That's better. There we go. Hey, how are you? Okay, so to help me pretty much work out how much darker I need to go, I'm going to go straight in with my Paynes Grey underneath her head here. because I know that I'm not going to need to go any darker than this particular colour, so that will help me work out where I need to be basically. So we need to go much darker, and I'm thinking I'm going to play with the caput. I wonder if I need the caput or the I want violet. I think I'm going to need the violet. So I'm just going to sharpen the violet. If you're not familiar with these two colours, I don't know how well it's going to show up through the camera, but not very well, she says. Bring the light forward, that's probably not going to help. So this is Caput Mortem, and this is Caput Mortem Violet. So you can see that this one's actually much lighter than that one, and that has a slight violet tone in there. So let's move the light away. I hope you guys are good. Yeah, I'm absolutely knackered, but we're good. Sports day today, and I look like in my camera I've absolutely burnt my head, and I don't know whether I actually have now. I'm actually questioning whether I have or not. Obsessed with my pick getting frames for both this week. Oh yeah, forgot about that. Was that a nice surprise? No, she said, I asked for it. It's the best way to, at least you know what you're getting. Yeah, Caput Mortem Violet's definitely the better choice. So, let's big girl pants on now and just crack on with getting that shadow in. So there's a shape here that we need to define, and that's similar to this side where it almost dimples in. That needs to be much darker under there. This needs blending out a bit in here too. Let's get that one to blend that a bit. Just softens it all then. There you go, much more, less of a line. Bit more of a natural shadow there. Her nose, I'm really pleased with her nose. It's looking really 3D. He's good with hints. He's a good one. I'm going pretty light with my pressure because when it comes to blending, I don't want to have any trouble with blending. Now, I need to ensure that I am true to her birthmark. We may even need to add a little bit more red in. I keep thinking it's raining, but it's not. It's my Mac running, I can hear. Now there is a bit of a pink tone up here, so I am going to add that in. Might not even be pink enough, but we'll give it a go. There is a slight just under here, slight lightness. That's a bit better. Okay, so purple go. We're just going to make this Too dark, Bonnita. Too dark. There we go, and then this has got to be much more noticeable. This line down here. So you can see how subtle it is, and it shouldn't be that subtle. It should be much darker. So I'm probably going to have to bring the Paynes Grey in just to strengthen it. What's the time? Right, I'm probably going to stop in the next 10 minutes. So that's a good hour and a half then. There we go, that's better. Quite hard to see in these harsh lights actually, because they can be a bit glary. The difference in when I put these side by side, you're going to be quite taken back, I think, because the difference between the one 2 years ago and the one now is just vast. Hugely vast. But I'm not going to be hard on myself, because she was my very first person that I did in coloured pencils, and they are really hard. Where's your water in all this heat? In the kitchen. There is a coffee sitting there, but I'm avoiding drinking it until I log off, because I need to go and get my bottle of water as well. I have been good today though. But it's probably why my eyes are so dry. Arid eyes. I'm just putting slightly more pressure on now, just to get more wax off of the pencil. Now we're going to bring in, what are we going to bring in? I think we're going to bring in this colour. This is the middle purple pink. So this is going to give me that tone I need without me losing the redness that she has in her face where her birthmark is. That's actually pretty much the perfect colour. What I need to do is, with the cap at mortem, I think, is we need to get in some shadow here, which just helps define where her cheek sort of starts to puff out. We've lost a bit of shadow under her nose somewhere there, somehow. Getting there. Getting there. It still needs to be, I don't know. I think I might need to bring a little hint of grey in there. Just to, it doesn't need to be toned down as such, but it's not quite. I have dry eyes. Should get. I know I should, and I have a heat thing that I'm supposed to use every night. I have now basically a blocked duct in my eye, so my eyelid actually dips in now. But just some things aren't always practical. Yeah, we call this one her Angel Kiss, and on the back she has her angel wings. And she has 2 types of birthmarks on her face which are merged basically, and she has another type of birthmark on her back and the back of her legs. So she's got about 3, I think it's 3 different types of birthmarks. So we call the one on her back her angel wings because they're white. So she's got no pigment at all in sections of her back. And then we call the one on her cheek her Angel Kiss. And she's got special makeup for when she feels conscious about it. But she's pretty good actually. And yeah, she's actually really, really good with it. That's actually done her justice up here. That's pretty much where her birthmark lays, so I'm happy with that. I do think we need to just bring in, I'm thinking, oh screw it, I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work, it don't work. That's one of the kids dropping something upstairs. Okay, I'm just going to blend it over the whole thing now. And then what I can do is once it's all blended out, I can then reassess if needed. Better. So I'm blending out with warm grey 2. Double check then. I was going to say warm grey 1, but it wasn't. It was 2. I vary it. So when I do the lower levels of shading, I use a light pressure on the pencil, and then as I come up through the shading, so we've got what, 7 or 8 layers on there. I've just, once you sort of get to layer 4, you just start to apply a little bit more pressure, and then that way you start to blend as you layer. So yeah, the first few layers you keep it pretty light, then you just increase it very slightly as you come up. I mean, even now when I'm doing the blending, because I don't want strong pencil marks, I'm still blending quite lightly. She needs a bit of a highlight on there actually. That's better. Honestly, the difference is crazy. Right, okay, I'm going to show you the difference between 2 years ago and now. And I'm going to zoom you out for this because I think you need more room to see. That's she's got a port wine and something else. It's not as textured as a port wine. But it's I've got a whole list of what they are. Okay, so 2019. 2017. Look at the difference between that shading. I wonder if I can. God, I've just got pencils everywhere. I've got to clear it all off to do this massive one tomorrow as well. Oh, I don't know the best way to do this. Such a difference. That's incredible. What it shows is over time how I've been able to grow in confidence when it comes to going darker. And as much as I whinge and whine and moan and tell you all to go darker, this is the reason why. So a little bit of encouragement. If you feel you're stuck at this stage, you won't be stuck at this stage forever, because I was at this stage and clearly I have progressed an awful lot in those 2 years with coloured pencils, to the point where, you know, people said how much this looked like a photo, and I have no doubt in 2 years that this has probably lost a little bit of colour because I didn't put many layers on. But it hasn't been in the sun, so unlikely. So if you're at this stage and you're worried, don't be. Just keep going, and just on each one, just go that little bit darker. And yeah, you'll be surprised actually, because that is just, it's changed completely the shape of her face with that shading. And that is much more to, well, you can see the reference photo above. You can see that that is much more like that reference photo. It's crazy. And even the hair. The difference in the hair. Although I'm quite impressed that the difference, I mean, there is a difference, but it's not as vast as the face. So I'm pretty pleased. So I'm going to go and drown my eyes in a ton of water, because I've got one LED ring this side and a massive LED screen this side, and my eyes are just like, I've had enough now. And it's been a really, really long, tiring day. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you very much for joining me for the live feed. And if you are watching me for the first time, I go live every Wednesday. So please feel free to come and join. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell button. And by the way, for those of you that are watching, I think I mentioned it last week, you need to change your notifications to show you all. Because if you don't, you very rarely get the notifications you need to tell you that there's a video going up. So if you can hit that, and I've just realised I haven't finished this side of the hair, but we'll deal with that next week. Yeah, hit the all notifications, and then you'll get a notification with all the videos. And I apologise that there is no new video up, but this gives you an example of how many erasers I will be testing out for you. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whichever it may be, and I shall see you on the other side.